Hello everyone, welcome to Learn German Grammar. Nobody is perfect when it comes to learning, especially learning a foreign language like German. But there are a few mistakes which learners unknowingly make, and these can be avoided to make you move a step ahead in your learning. In this video, we will be discussing 51 such mistakes, which a lot of learners make, and you can avoid if you're learning German. So let's look at the first one. This mistake is the most common mistake that I see in the comments. When you have to thank someone, you don't say vielen Danke, but you say vielen Dank or just Danke. Danke is short for Ich danke dir or Ich danke Ihnen. Here, Danke is the conjugated verb, whereas Dank is a noun and vielen Dank is a short for Wir sagen or Ich sage vielen Dank. Der Dank, hence vielen Dank, since this is the accusative object. It's very common in Germany to praise the food you eat, especially when it's good. If you like something, you generally use the verb gefallen. But in case of good food and drinks, you use the verb schmecken. Gutes Essen und Trinken gefällt nicht, es schmeckt. Die Pizza gefällt mir ist falsch. Die Pizza schmeckt mir ist richtig. Mögen is used when you find a person nice and friendly. Ich mag Tim. Or when you like something. Ich mag Käse. Das bedeutet, ich esse gern Käse. But if you find something nice, then you use gefallen. Ich mag das Bild is wrong. The correct sentence would be Das Bild gefällt mir. In English, some of the adjectives use a more in the comparative form, like beautiful, more beautiful. The German word for more, mehr, is the comparative for viel. Trinken Sie mehr Wasser. Comparative in German is formed with er at the end of the adjective. Schön, schöner. Schnell, schneller. Tina rennt mehr schnell als Eva is wrong. You cannot use mehr when using comparative form. The correct one will be Tina rennt schneller als Eva. Temporal words such as letzt, dies and nächst take the accusative. Letzten, diesen und nächsten. So this sentence would have three mistakes. Dieser Sommer will ich nach Spanien reisen. Letzter Sommer war ich in Italien und nächster Sommer will ich nach England. The correct one would be Diesen Sommer will ich nach Spanien reisen. Letzten Sommer war ich in Italien und nächsten Sommer will ich nach England. Die Vergangenheitsform von möchte is wollte. The past form of möchten is wollte. It would be wrong to say Tim möchte Medizin studieren in the past. The correct one is Tim wollte Medizin studieren. When talking about professions, don't use an article when using it in a sentence. Mein Vater ist ein Ingenieur von Beruf. One doesn't say that. You should say Mein Vater ist Ingenieur von Beruf without the article. Use of genitive with s and position before the noun is only possible with the names. For example, Tina's Freund. Otherwise, the genitive comes after the noun to which it belongs or is replaced by von plus Dative. It would be wrong if you say Heute besuche ich meine Freundins Eltern. But correct if you say Heute besuche ich die Eltern von meiner Freundin oder Heute besuche ich Die Eltern meiner Freundin. Some German learners get confused between the use of wenn and wann. We have a special video on this topic. Link is in the description. Wann is a question word. Wenn is a conditional and a temporal conjunction. Here's an example. Wir grillen, wann das Wetter gut ist. The correct one is wir grillen, wenn das Wetter gut ist. To explain an intention or a goal, you need an infinitive clause with zu. A construction with für is incorrect. Ich habe einen Saugroboter gekauft für Zeitsparen. The correct one would be ich habe einen Saugroboter gekauft, Zeit zu sparen. Similarly, when something is necessary, that is, when you need something in order to be able to do something, you could also use zum. Let's look at the example. Ich verwende für Kochen nur die besten Zutaten. The right one is ich verwende zum Kochen nur die besten Zutaten. Another mistake one often comes across is the use of possessive article for feminine, ihr or ihre. For masculine, we use sein or seine. It would be wrong if you said, Tina hat seine Tasche zu Hause vergessen. Correct one is, Tina hat ihre Tasche zu Hause vergessen. Often some learners forget the correct place of the verb while building Ja-Nein-Fragen. When it's a normal sentence, ein Aussagesatz, then the verb is in the second position. Whereas in a Ja-Nein-Frage, it's in the first position. So if you hear a question that asks, Du isst gern Pizza? You should know it's wrong grammatically. The verb should be in the first position. The correct one would be, Isst du gern Pizza? A lot of learners answer this question wrong. Wie geht es dir? Or wie geht's? Ich bin gut. The correct answer should be, Mir geht es gut. Or es geht mir gut. Beginners also make a mistake or get confused between Stunden and Uhr. Stunden is used to tell how long something lasted. Uhr is used to tell the time. It's wrong to say, der Film dauert 3 Uhr. The correct sentence will be, der Film dauert 3 Stunden. Remember the difference between heiraten plus Akkusativ and verheiratet sein plus mit plus Dativ. Heiraten is used when you marry a person on a particular day and with a ceremony. Verheiratet sein means to be married, is used after the ceremony of marrying a person has taken place. Hence it would be wrong to use the preposition here. Vor 3 Jahren habe ich mit meiner Frau geheiratet. The correct way to say this would be, vor 3 Jahren habe ich meine Frau geheiratet. The article for Mädchen is das, even though it's a girl. The possessive article is hence sein and the pronoun used for das Mädchen is es. Das Mädchen. Es ist süß. Sein Vater heißt Peter. Might sound funny or illogical, but words ending with chen have the article das. So here's the sentence with the errors. Das ist eine Mädchen, ihr Name ist Mina. The correct one would be, das ist ein Mädchen, sein Name ist Mina. Addressing someone with Frau and Herr and the first name is not usual. When addressing someone with Sie, use their family name. For example, Frau Müller or Herr Schmidt. When you're on first name terms with someone, their first name is enough. Herr Max, darf ich Sie Ihre Hilfe bitten? Would be wrong. You should say, Herr Schäfer, darf ich Sie Ihre Hilfe bitten? And if you're on the first name basis, you could say, Max, kannst du mir helfen? In some companies, you might also hear a mixture of first name and Sie. Hallo Max, können Sie mir bitte helfen? Have you heard of mein Freund and meine Freundin? Well, in German, only use these words if the person you are introducing is your partner. Tina ist meine Freundin. Say this only if Tina is your girlfriend. Otherwise, you should say, Tina ist eine Freundin von mir. Let's look at the next one. A lot of people mix up the words Haus and Wohnung. A house is much bigger than an apartment and also more expensive. A lot of people don't have a house but an apartment. Ist das dein Haus? Safer would be to ask, Ist das deine Wohnung? The word used to make adjectives stronger in German is sehr and not viel. Viel warm is wrong. The correct one would be sehr warm. Here's another example. Meine Kinder sind viel frech. The correct way to say this would be Meine Kinder sind sehr frech. If you have a day off, you would say in English, I'm free. To be or sein seems to be the first choice of verb, but in German, you would use the verb haben. Heute bin ich frei. The correct one would be Heute habe ich frei. Studieren oder lernen. If you're studying at a university, then you will use the verb studieren. But if you're visiting a course at an institution, for example a school, or learning a language or a skill, or learning for a test, then you will use the verb lernen. If you say, Simone studiert Deutsch an einer Sprachschule, this would be wrong. The correct one would be, Simone lernt Deutsch an einer Sprachschule. Studieren as a verb will only be used if she is actually studying German at a university. The next one is also a misuse of two verbs, telefonieren and anrufen. A longer conversation on the phone is ein Telefonat. The verb is telefonieren plus mit plus Dative. To try to reach someone on the phone, you use the verb anrufen, which is separable, trennbar. Let's look at an example. It would be incorrect if you say, Ich habe mit Tina telefoniert, aber sie war nicht da. You should say, Ich habe Tina angerufen, aber sie war nicht da. And if you talked to Tina for some time, then you could say, Ich habe gestern lange mit Tina telefoniert. Here are some more expressions which also get mixed up pretty often. Bis gleich bedeutet, wir sehen uns in wenigen Minuten. Bis später bedeutet, wir sehen uns noch an diesem Tag. Bis bald bedeutet, wir sehen uns in der näheren Zukunft. Wann genau, ist nicht sicher. Here's an example. Ich hole schnell etwas zum Trinken. Okay, bis bald. The appropriate one would be, Ich hole schnell etwas zum Trinken. Okay, bis gleich. Since you will be seeing the person in a few minutes again. When someone is right about something, you would say in English, you are right. But in German, we use the verb haben. Du hast recht. You might come across both the versions. Recht, written with a big R or a small r. Man muss mehr für die Umwelt tun. Da bist du richtig. Wrong one. The correct one would be, man muss mehr für die Umwelt tun. Da hast du recht. Gehen in German means also to go by foot. Zu Fuß gehen. If you need to travel somewhere with a vehicle, then you use the verb fahren. Am Wochenende gehe ich in die Schweiz. Now, assuming that you are in Germany and want to go to Switzerland, you would need a vehicle to travel. So you should say, am Wochenende fahre ich in die Schweiz. But let's say you are moving to a new city or country. Then you can use gehen. Wegen des Kriegs gehen viele Ukrainer nach Ausland. Two verbs in German that might create some confusion. Mitbringen and mitnehmen. Mitbringen is used when you take a gift for the other person or because someone asked you for it. Mitnehmen is used when you take something with you and you have packed it for yourself or bought it. Auf die Reise bringe ich unbedingt meine Brille mit. The correct one would be, auf die Reise nehme ich unbedingt meine Brille mit. And here's an example how you could use mitbringen. Bringst du bitte Brot mit? Danke. Ordinal numbers in German have specific rules. After an ordinal number comes a dot. Date, day, month, and year are separated by a dot, and unlike in American English, the day always comes before the month. It is also not necessary to put a zero in front of the single-digit day and month numbers. Also remember, when you are reading the date, you have to use the correct endings. Heute ist der 7.1. or heute ist der 7. Januar. Ich komme am 7.1. or ich komme am 7. Januar. Let's move on to the next one. Be sure to spell the words with EI and IE correctly. Otherwise, the words might mean something completely different. Bienen or Beinen. Lieb oder Leib. Leider oder Lieder. Scheinen oder Schienen. Let's look at a sentence. One small mistake in spellings and the sentence would be, die Kinder singen gern Lieder. But the correct one is, die Kinder singen gern Lieder. In a sentence, the verb is in position 2. Exceptions are when you are using the conjunctions aber, denn, sondern, oder, und. Let's see if you can already see the mistakes here. Morgen, ich mache eine Party, denn habe ich Geburtstag. The verb is in the wrong position. The correct sentence would be, morgen mache ich eine Party, denn ich habe Geburtstag. In a sentence with two objects, the dative object comes before the accusative object, unless both objects are pronouns. Then they switch places. Here's an example. Der Chef hat einen besseren Job meiner Kollegin angeboten. In this sentence, you can see the accusative object, einen besseren Job, is placed before the dative object, meiner Kollegin. The correct sentence would be, der Chef hat meiner Kollegin einen besseren Job angeboten. And if you have pronouns for both these objects, then the accusative object will be placed before the dative object, like in this sentence. Der neue Job? Der Chef hat ihn mir nicht angeboten. Let's move on to the next mistake. As an alternative to gefallen, you can also use schön, gut, toll finden. Das Sofa gefällt mir. Or you can say, ich finde das Sofa schön, or gut, or toll. As we learned before, you cannot say, das Sofa mag ich. That would be completely wrong. Another common mistake is the use of müssen when one is talking about something that's not allowed. In such a case, you should use nicht dürfen and not müssen. Hier musst du nicht rauchen is wrong. You should say, hier darfst du nicht rauchen. 35. Nach Hause oder zu Hause. In German, both zu and nach are prepositions and mean the same in English, to. However, when they're used together with Hause, they have specific meanings which one should learn. Zu Hause means at home, showing a position or a location, whereas nach Hause means to home, showing an activity towards home. Wann fährst du zu Hause is wrong. You should say, wann fährst du nach Hause? Leute, Menschen, Personen. Leute is used when you're talking about a group of people and sometimes also for the people working for you. This term is always used in the plural form and it is used very commonly in day-to-day language. Menschen is a more formal term used for people, especially when you're talking about human beings, creatures who can think and speak. Personen is the most neutral term used when dealing with a specific number of individuals. Auf Sabinas Party waren sehr nette Menschen oder Personen. Here the word that you want to use is Leute. Auf Sabinas Party waren sehr nette Leute. If you know English, a lot of mistakes usually come from there. Inzwischen does not mean in between. Inzwischen means meanwhile. But since it is similar to in between in English, it is very commonly used wrong. Wir haben heute Morgen 2 Unterrichtsstunden, aber inzwischen ist etwas Freizeit. The correct word to be used here is dazwischen. Wir haben heute Morgen 2 Unterrichtsstunden, aber dazwischen ist etwas Freizeit. When you're visiting someone, don't use the word house. You can simply say zu Oma, zu Petra, zu dir. And when you are there, then you say bei Oma, bei Petra, bei dir. Ich bin in Marias Haus. The correct way to say this would be Ich bin bei Maria. If you don't know something, you would say in English no idea and in German keine Ahnung. Weißt du, wo meine Schuhe sind? Nein, ich habe keine Ahnung. Sich freuen auf oder über. Über is used when you're happy about something that has already happened. But auf is used when you're happy about something that lies in the future. Here's an example. Ich freue mich schon über das Essen mit Mina morgen. Since you're talking about an appointment on the next day, you would use the preposition auf. Ich freue mich schon auf das Essen mit Mina morgen. Mögen oder möchten. Mögen is used to express your liking for something or someone. You can also use mögen when you want to do something. Möchten is the conjunctive 2 or the subjunctive form of the verb mögen. It expresses a wish, or you would use it when someone wants to have something in a very polite way. Heute mag ich ins Kino gehen. Since you're talking about a wish, you should use möchten. Heute möchte ich ins Kino gehen. If you're asked a positive question and the answer is positive, use ja. If you're asked a negative question and the answer is negative, use nein. But if you are asked a negative question and the answer is positive, you should use the particle doch in the answer. Willst du nicht ins Theater mitkommen? Ja, gern. Ich habe Zeit. It would be wrong to answer the question with ja. Willst du nicht ins Theater mitkommen? Doch, gerne. Ich habe Zeit. Negative questions will always have a negative word in the question, like nicht or kein. Very often there is a confusion between SS and SZ. After a long vowel or AU, EI or EU, one does not write SS or S, but SZ. Exceptions exist. Check out how to use the correct SZ in this example. Weißt du, wo die Goethestraße ist? Please note the letter SZ does not exist in Switzerland. You always write a double S instead of German SZ. Moving on to the next one. For the dative object in German, you don't need to use zu. Martha hat zu ihrem Sohn neue Schuhe gegeben. You can use this sentence without a zu, since it has a dative object. Martha hat ihrem Sohn neue Schuhe gegeben. In German, the verb warten is used with auf and not with für. It's very common to see this mistake. Ich musste lange für meinen Freund warten. The correct one is ich musste lange auf meinen Freund warten. Many words end in er, but one speaks a sound between a and e. In any case, you don't hear an r. The correct way to speak these words would be Vater, Mutter, Bruder, Schwester und ich. Similarly, at the beginning of words and syllables, one writes sp and st, but one pronounces sp and st. Auf der Straße spielen Kinder. Difference between morgen and morgen. Let's first look at the example. Heute Morgen war es sehr warm. The correct one would be Heute Morgen war es sehr warm. Did you notice the difference? Morgen, written with a big M, der Morgen, is the time of day at dawn, after night, early morning. Morgen, written with a small m, means the following coming day or in the future. At the end of many words, you will hear the sounds p, t, ka, and you might be surprised that many of these words are spelled with b, d, g. For example, deep, Korb, Lied, Kleid, Weg, Tag. But how do you know how to write this word correctly? Make the word longer. Example, plural, comparative, so you can figure it out quickly, because then the consonants are at the beginning of the syllable and are spoken softly. Nur ein Kind? Nein, Tina hat 4 Kinder. After the salutation in a letter or an email, there is a comma, after which you have to write a lowercase. Sehr geehrte Frau Müller, vielen Dank für Ihr Schreiben. After Müller, you write a comma, and in the next sentence, you begin with a small letter, in this case, Vielen begins with a small v. The salutation at the end of a letter or email is always without a comma. Mit freundlichen Grüßen. There is no comma after this, just the name. Please note there are no commas in Switzerland, and the first word in the letter is capitalized. And now the last one. These short but typical words look similar, but they differ in pronunciation and meaning. Therefore, pay particular attention to the correct spelling. Den, den. Wen, wenn. Ihn, in. Seid, seid. With this we come to an end of our 51 mistakes in German. For this video, there will be no podcast. If you liked this video and want more of these, do let us know in the comments. Become a member today and gain access to extra content for this video and much more. You can also get a free worksheet by joining our Patreon page. Danke! Thanks for watching this video. If you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you still haven't. You can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we upload a new video. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. Tschüss, auf Wiedersehen!